Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper journey to text X. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper journey to text X. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it can feel like a never-ending wait for your ex to text you. Unfortunately, not every dumper will text their ex, as there is no 100% guaranteed way to get an ex back. However, in most instances, a dumper will at some stage consider texting their dumpee and start to communicate. In today's podcast, I will discuss the 3-point journey that a dumper will go through to potentially consider texting their ex. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is living life. Now, as a dumpee, as somebody who wants to try to get their ex back, the last thing you want to hear me speak of is your ex, the dumper, living their life to the full. But unfortunately, this is where the journey begins. Now, the important situation here is to realise that this is the beginning of the journey, and we are going to be getting towards the end of the journey of if and when they may text you and communicate. So please keep listening through. And even though point number 1 might feel difficult, it's important you listen to enable yourself to fully immerse yourself and understand as and why a dumper may eventually text you. So it starts difficult, but I promise you this will start to listen a little easier on your ears, so keep listening. But we have to start with point number 1, and the dumper will be living life. Okay, as I said, you don't want to hear this, but it's true. When somebody ends a relationship, they want to live the life they felt they couldn't live within that relationship. Now, that might be something as obvious as dating new people. They might even be dating somebody instantly. Maybe you were cheated on, maybe they left you for somebody else, and hence they were already in this new dating pattern. Now, this could be very difficult to hear. As I said, in general, with point number 1, dating new people is part of living life. And I suggest that you as a dumpee should also be dating new people. But I speak of that more in other podcasts. And today we're considering and concentrating on the dumper journey. Other things a dumper may do when we're saying they're living life is just experiencing the things they couldn't do within that relationship. It might be things such as seeing their friends and family more. Maybe you wasn't happy they did so. Maybe they couldn't for logistical reasons. And this could be something that they want to do. They might be taking up new hobbies. They might be starting to restart hobbies that they used to do in the previous. Maybe before you met, they really had hobbies and interests, but they couldn't do them. Maybe because you didn't like it, maybe because they didn't have the time. They might restart doing these things, or as I said, they could start doing something new. This is all living life, and this all constitutes as the single honeymoon period. Somebody ends a relationship because they've lost a lot of romantic emotional attraction. It's hit a certain low point. This is why they ended the relationship. They feel that they would be more fulfilled going on a different journey, a different path, and unfortunately, that is a path without the dumpee. So they need to be living the life that they felt they couldn't live within that relationship. If they don't live this life, if they don't go through the single honeymoon period, they will never get through to the future elements I'm about to speak of later in today's podcast. You've got to go through point 1 before you can get to points 2 and 3. And your dumper needs to go through these situations. They need to experience these elements, because if they don't, they will be stagnated. If they don't live their life, if they don't really try to do the things they felt they couldn't do, then these will always be on their mind. They need to do this, and this is what they will likely do first. As I said, I do believe that dumpees should also be trying to date new people. Even if you want to get your ex back, it's so important that you date new people. There is nothing better at taking your mind off your ex than dating new people. And as long as you're honest, as long as you say to a new potential date, look, I'm just going for a breakup. I don't know what I'm looking for. Nothing serious right now. I just want to see how things go. As long as you say that, then you aren't leading anybody on. It's not cool to lead somebody on, so don't pretend you're looking for long term if you're truly not over your ex yet. But please, date new people. It helps you take your mind off your ex. Therefore, you're not making mistakes. If your mind's off your ex, you're not chasing them. If your mind's off your ex, you're not doing things which are going to hinder your chances of reconnection. But not only that, you're practicing your perishable skills, such as communication skills, flirting skills, dating skills in general are perishable skills. If you don't practice them, you will get worse at them. If you want to try to get your ex back, you need to be ready in every way, shape and form. You need to be properly prepared of how to communicate, flirt and date. Now, you might be thinking, well, my ex-badumper won't be interested in me if they hear that I'm dating somebody new. But please, don't feel that type of mindset. Don't feel that type of guilt. Don't feel that you're cheating on your ex. Please remember that unfortunately, you were dumped. Unfortunately, the relationship was ended by your previous partner. You are now single. If you date new people, your ex-badumper is very unlikely to be put off by this if they hear. If anything, they're likely to now see you as a dateable individual and understand that if this man or if this woman is interested in dating you, then maybe they made a mistake, okay? If you're dating somebody who is more attractive, arguably, than your ex, okay? Somebody more interesting, somebody different to your ex might think, oh, wow, well, if they see something in my dumpee, then maybe I missed out on something. Maybe I made a mistake. And this is the type of thing which can really work in your favor. So you need to live your life. But when we speak about the dumper journey to text X, the dumper must also live their life. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper journey to text X. And point number 2 is wondering. So when your ex-badumper lives their life to the full, it is true that they might not be thinking of you every second of the day, but that doesn't mean that they won't be thinking of you regularly. I would suggest that certainly within the first year after a breakup, there will be regular triggers and other instances which create a situation where your ex-badumper will think of you. So we have to understand that they need to be doing this for any opportunity for them to consider reconnecting. Because thinking about you links to wondering about you, which links to missing you. So they can only do this if you are not in their space. Somebody can only miss you if you're not in their life. If you're texting your ex every day, every week, or even every month, your ex-badumper is not going to miss you. They're always going to think, well, look, my ex-badumper will be contacting me soon. What's the bother? You truly need your ex-badumper to believe you have gone forever. They've ended the relationship, but you need to show that you are a high-value individual. You are not desperate, you are not needy, and you are living your life. And you can do what I said in point number 1 and date new people, but most importantly, implementing my version of a no-contact rule, never contacting your ex again unless they contact you first, except for a few exceptions to that rule, which can understand and learn more about under my playlist entitled No Contact Rule, but we're not going into that today. Your ex-badumper needs to think about you, they need to wonder about you, and that is most likely to happen after they've lived their life to the full. So although these triggers can happen whenever and straight away even after the breakup, they are more likely to take place when your ex-badumper has come out of the single honeymoon period. Once they're out of a single honeymoon period, things will start to seem a little more cloudy regarding their future. Because here's the best bit about it, dumpees. Your ex-badumper is very unlikely to find a new long-term compatible partner within the first year or so. Statistically speaking, from my own research, people find it very challenging to go from one long-term compatible partner to another because long-term compatible partners are rare. It's hard to find somebody long-term compatible. What is the odds that you would go from one long-term relationship and the next person you speak to is also compatible in that way? It's not likely at all. And that is what we call a rebound relationship. Again, that's something you can check out on my other podcasts. please check out my channel, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Now, if you believe that you have a situation where your ex-dumper is in a rebound relationship, please let me know in the YouTube comments. And please also let me know if you have any questions regarding my version of a no contact rule. Let me know in the YouTube comments and I will try to help you where I can, although I can't always answer every single comment. I'll do my best to. Please let me know if you are in that mindset where you're wondering about this, if you have any questions, and I'll try my best to get back to you. So, when we consider the single honeymoon period, this is something which generally takes 6 months to a year. After that time, everything which seemed new and exciting becomes more mundane and old. It's no longer fresh, it's stale. And during that time, if your ex-dumper hasn't found a new long-term compatible person, they come out of a single honeymoon period and thinking, I don't really want to go out clubbing anymore. I don't really want to go to all these parties. This is not as exciting as it seemed. My friends who were so happy to see me single for a while and doing all these things with me, well, now they're settling down with other people. I'm starting to feel a little bit lonely. This is when your ex-dumper is likely to start wondering about you. And this, as I said, is where wonder can eventually develop into missing you. But they will only miss you if you've given them the pleasure of your own silence. Okay, you need to be living in a way where they can miss you. If they start wondering about you, but in reality, you're still chasing them, well, they're not going to wonder for very long. They're probably just going to think, I wonder what my dumpee's doing. Oh, it doesn't really matter because they'll contact me anyway. So I don't have to worry because I know they're always here. I know I can always go back to them if I really want to. You don't want your ex-dumper to be thinking of this. You want your ex-dumper to wonder about you and this develop into missing you. And the way you do this is to implement my version of a no contact rule, move forward with your own life, dating new people, and let time take its toll. Statistically speaking, your ex-dumper is unlikely within the first year to find a new long-term compatible partner. And if they don't, when everything becomes more stale and less exciting, they will begin to wonder about you. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper journey to text X. And point number 3 is texting. So this is the part of today's podcast that you, the dumpee, will be most excited to hear about. And that's because if you want to get your ex back, you want your ex-dumper to text you. And point number 3 of this journey is, of course, texting. So they've lived their life, they've wondered about you, they've missed you, and now they text you. Or do they? Okay, and this is the crossroads. So when your ex-dumper is wondering about you, when they're starting to miss you, they will consider, did I make the right choice? Should I have done that decision? Should I have ended that relationship? Well, if you behaved in the right way as a dumpee, you would have been growing romantic emotional attraction in your ex's mind. If this has now hit the necessary high point, this is when they will want to reach out to you and really feel that romantic vibe, okay? If they reach out to you in that kind of way, then this is good news for you. However, it is a crossroads. And they might consider, okay, I do miss my ex a bit, but you know what? It was the right decision. And that is likely to have been done if a dumpee has not done everything right. And unfortunately, the romantic emotional attraction has not grown to the necessary high point. Even if a dumpee has done everything they can in the right way, if the breakup and the aftermath was not initially as good as it could have been, then unfortunately, not every dumper will reach out. Okay, you can do everything right and still not grow enough romantic emotional attraction if a relationship, the breakup and the initial aftermath does not constitute a good starting point of attraction. If the attraction level dropped too low, then even if you are growing it, it will not reach the necessary high point. It needs a good foundation. You can achieve this by the relationship you had, the length and the quality, the breakup not being too awful, and the aftermath being as stable as possible. So if your ex decides that they don't want to reach out to you, then unfortunately as a dumpee, you need to take this as experience and move forward in a positive way to find somebody even better than your ex. Okay? But here's the thing. We never know when the story ends. So how do we know when your ex-dumper hasn't texted you? If they haven't texted you after 9 months, does that mean they're not going to text you after a year? If you haven't heard anything after a year, does that mean you won't hear anything after 2 years? Now, I'm certainly not telling you to wait around, but what I would say is we never know when the story ends. romantic emotional attraction can always grow slowly but surely, and you may receive contact from your ex when you least expect it. Don't wait for them, but don't think it's not going to happen, because you never, ever know. Additionally, we have to consider that your ex-dumper might start missing you, but for a different kind of way. Unfortunately for you as a dumpee, this could be in a more platonic sense. They might miss certain things about your connection, but not the romance. If that happens, your ex-dumper will reach out to you, but through the communication stage, you as a dumpee will quickly start to realise that they are not looking for what you were hoping for. If that is the case, then I strongly suggest you don't accept an active platonic friendship, because if you do, you will get hurt. An active platonic friendship is when you are actively being friendly with your ex. It means you're texting them, calling them, meeting them, but you are doing this on a platonic way, even though you have romantic feelings. This will not help you, because if you accept platonic friendship with your ex and you have romantic feelings, then they eventually will meet somebody new and will show them off to you because you are just their friend. That will break your heart once more. Never ever have an active platonic friendship with somebody you have romantic feelings for. This doesn't mean you can't be friendly. This doesn't mean you can't be positive. I'm not telling you to be awkward, but what I am saying is the odd message every few months maybe, or something where you just leave things on good terms but you don't communicate. That is what you need to do if you have romantic feelings for somebody and they're only offering you platonic friendship. If you accept that, you run the risk of having your heart broken again. But let's be positive. Let's end this podcast on a high and consider that you have regrown enough romantic emotional attraction in your ex's mind. They decide to text you, they reach out, and if you navigate the communication stage effectively, this is where you will eventually meet and be able to rebuild a new relationship with your ex on hopefully stronger foundations. The communication stage is something which confuses a lot of people. I strongly suggest you consider my audio coaching service to speak with me one-on-one if you want to delve into your unique situation and topic, where we can really concentrate on the intricacies of your scenario. I have to generalize in these podcasts, and I appreciate your situation will have its own elements which don't necessarily match up with what I speak of in the podcasts. My audio coaching service could be something which really benefits you. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.